don't forget, it ain't the first 48 with 60 minutes.
Cover the king, best not list. Even the score now, we need to score now. Back on that wall, when you hear that call, you know it's going down. We play from beginning to ending, you know how we finish. Turn to the bank, gotta handle our business. We need the ball, so it's time to go get it. Play with your heart when you hit, make it feel it. You know I'm with. You come to the bank and get out of line, we sending a blitz. Said who you with? You know I'm with. That purple and black, and when we attack, you know what it is.
You're now locked into Zone 32.
Welcome to another edition of the Zone 32 podcast. We've got 4 tonight. It's going to be 5 as soon as Jake shows up. But as usual, we got Will, we got Drew, we got Trippy. What's good, y'all?
You're not going to introduce yourself? What if people don't know who you are if this is their first time tuning in?
Well, my name is BT. I haven't been here the last couple of weeks because work is a motherfucker.
Shut the fuck up.
Fuck you.
I wanted to get lost in like a tangent and then do it. So I could do like, this is why Jake does it. But yeah. Playoffs.
Kings of the North.
Again,
Yes.
we are.
Just
Back to back.
Where we belong, where we always belong. When Lamar's healthy, that's where we always are. So nice to win the North again. Not as easy of a win in the North this year as I would have hoped. Steelers had a little bit better of a record than I think we would have, projected at the beginning of the year. And that fucking loss to the Browns early in the year really made it kind of a little tighter of a race than it really should have been. Rough start, but I think before the year we all picked, like 12 to 14 wins, somewhere in there. So, pretty much right on track. I really think the only thing that we didn't pick correctly is that the Chiefs are going to go 15-2.
Right. I think that the Ravens win total was 10.5. Everyone was over on that. So
yeah, 100%. I mean, we were, a good team, and whether, like there was some growing pains with Orr. There was some personnel issues. Getting the offensive line a little bit better, adjusted, assimilated. Letting them gel a little bit. Like that took some time. But once we put Rosengarten in at right tackle, things looked a lot better. Once you took Marcus Williams out of the defense, it looked a lot better. So, I mean, this is pretty much what we expected. I think we've been saying all year, the regular season bores us, and let's get us to the playoffs. And we're here now. So, I don't know if we even want to talk much about the Browns game. I don't think anybody particularly fucking cares. We beat the Browns. Other than the Michael Pierce pick, there was really not much to write home about that game.
Zay.
See, I don't know. So Zay getting hurt was this is the worst week for him to get hurt because nothing you see in the media is ever going to be honest.
Right.
Zay could have, every ligament in his knee is torn, and Harbaugh would send him to walk through the locker room in front of the media with a small brace on, just to fucking play head games with people. So I think he plays Saturday. I appear to be somewhat alone in this thought, but I think that if he is 60% or better, I think you see him on the field. He is not a guy that's going to, sit that kind of game out. And that's why we wanted him, when we drafted him. That's why Grant and I were so high on him. He's got that, dog in him, whatever the fuck you want to say. He's not going to sit that game out if he can even be remotely a factor. So, I don't know, it sucks he got hurt. You had to win that game. I saw a lot of people, kind of Monday morning quarterbacking Harbaugh saying why do you have all these guys out here, blah, blah, blah. And it's you have to win that game. There's no.
Well, but those same people would have said, against Tennessee in 2019 that resting the starters is why we lost the game.
Right. That's the no-win crowd. That's the
right.
Whatever the Ravens do, they're going to say the opposite because they're assholes. It's fine. And I get being, pessimist, whatever the fuck it is. It's kind of fun sometimes, but like, there are people who take it a little bit too far and are a little bit unhinged. I don't know, but none of that matters anymore because we have a playoff game on Saturday coming up, which is the important thing.
Personally, I think Zay is out this week. I think the Ravens know. I mean, okay, we lost a game to the Steelers. The reason we lost that game is turnovers and because of Justin Tucker. You clean up those issues, and that game also was before the secondary got sorted out too. So I think this is a game that is manageable for them without Zay. They can spread the ball around. They can use the tight ends. They got Kohler back. Derrick Henry's going to get a lot of carries, obviously, but they know how to beat them.
Are you on your computer?
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor? You go to Pro Football Reference, and you look at Zay Flowers' career game log, and then sort it by team. I believe that was Zay Flowers' first win against the Steelers in a Ravens uniform.
That was definitely his first win for sure. Yeah.
And that was the only game that he's gone over 100 yards is the one that we won. So, we can downplay and say that the Steelers suck and blah, blah, blah. But, like, that's the guy you want out there. That's Lamar's number one target as a wide receiver.
But they easily could have won the game earlier in the season. That had nothing to do with it.
But they didn't. So.
Yeah, but again, the reason they lost that game had nothing to do with Zay, had nothing to do with anything but Tucker missing 3 kicks and the turnovers. And one of them was the most fluke turnover you'll ever see in a game ever.
Yeah, that was the Justice Hill should have been a fumble, and it ended up being a
I mean, like a perfect throw, a great catch that somehow ends up in a turnover. Like it just inexplicable.
My thing is that if there's any shot for Zay Flowers to play, he plays. Like I don't think you can.
Oh, that's a good point.
Henry also had less than 15 carries that first game, I think.
So it was a coaching malpractice issue going on.
Well, that was one of those games too where I think Henry had like 5 more carries than he actually did, and they all got called back as a holds and shit. I remember that being a flag fest. So again, I don't ever condone the idea of going into a one and done scenario without your best players. And Zay Flowers at 60% is still better than, I don't know, fucking Anthony Miller, Deontay Hardy, whoever the fuck you're going to put in instead of him. So, I'm rolling with Zay. I do feel like he'll play if there's, if he's capable of walking, I feel like he's going to play. I don't think he's going to pull, Roquan, or you can go back to like the days of Brandon Williams or some of these, softer guys, or Ronnie. And, I don't think he's going to milk that injury, and I don't particularly care about being overprotective of him because it's a win or go home scenario. So I don't know if you saw John Harbaugh's speech about being 1-0 every week. Like that's how you got to approach the playoffs. Is you got to win every game and don't take anybody lightly. And none of this, we don't need Zay shit because I feel like
no. I'm not saying we don't need him, but I'm saying if he's going to benefit from and be 90, 95, 100% for the divisional round when we're presumably going to be playing Buffalo, then you sit Zay this week because if trotting Zay out there at 60%. I mean, I don't know.
They haven't said what the injury is either, and we're not going to know what the injury is.
He's not playing.
According to who though, Trippy?
According to me, he's not playing.
Oh, you're just guessing he's not playing. I thought you had some, sometimes you pipe in.
No, I'm not guessing. I mean, I just, from the looks of it and from what I was hearing after the game, like, it'd be a miracle if he played. Now, I mean, I hope something happened, like, whereas though he do play, but I mean, if he like 60%, why force it?
That's what I'm saying. I'd rather have him at 90 to 100 next week than him play at 60 and then okay, he plays at 60 and then his knee's already unstable and he blows that fucker out.
But it depends on what the injury is. Trippy with a random NBA parlay.
My bad.
It depends on what the injury is too, though. It's
well, it's definitely a torn ACL or a torn PCL, I should say.
Yeah,
according to
Fucking might need amputation according to Dr.
yeah.
Tom, but
orthopedic expert. Yeah, Trippy, you're killing us with the echo.
yeah, I was gonna say Trippy. I'm hearing my points
There you
twice.
go.
No, but like the fact that they haven't come out and said it's a sprain and it started off as a week to week and now it's a day to day, and then you seen walking around the locker room with a small brace, like I don't know what the fuck any of that means.
Harbaugh said day to day. That was the first thing he said the morning after the game, I'm sorry, his first time in front of a mic. So it's Monday morning.
Right, but on Sunday it was coming out that he was, week to week, and they were going to get an MRI done, and all this shit. So like, I don't trust any of it. So the only thing I can go off of is Zay Flowers as a person, and I promise you he'll tell the coaching staff and the medical staff that he's 100%, even if he's 5%. Like that's just the kind of person he is. You know what I mean? So I think he plays. I don't know if it's the wise move for him to play. I also don't particularly care if it's a wise move or not. Like I just want to win. So, that's kind of where I'm always at with this, is that when you're in a win or go home scenario, you put your best players out there. It's weird also going into like a playoff setting like this where there's no questions, no injuries. Last year we had the Mark Andrews stuff. Was he coming back? Was he not coming back?
Yep.
He ended up coming back in the AFC Championship game, correctly predicted by me, like a week after the injury. Not to brag, but we don't have any of that shit. We don't really have any uncertainty in terms of what personnel we're going to go out there with. I know Kyle Hamilton was limited with a knee injury today, but like who the fuck cares? I don't think that was anything serious because I know he went down at one point during the game, but I don't think it was he was back like 3 plays later. So
yeah, and it was like a carbon copy of earlier in the season when he walked off and he was holding his arm like he had like a collarbone injury or something. He went in a tent and then he was just out there the next defensive series and played the rest of the game. So
I think it was more of like a impact / like let me catch my breath type of.
That's what I thought
injury.
too. That's what I thought too. Just because it was so fucking cold.
It's the way he hits people too. I feel like he puts himself in these spots where like he could get the wind knocked out of him. He hits people hard and he's playing through contact and he's not, pulling up on hits. And I feel like that's always going to be a guy that, might have to sit out a play or two, which is fine, whatever. I don't particularly care. I want him out there, as many plays as possible. If he's going to miss a play, but it also means that he's going to, hit people hard, then I'm good with making that trade-off. Yeah, I mean, again,
because he gets the hit stick, then he goes out of play and comes back and makes either like a ball hawk or another hit stick.
I mean, the reality is the only person on defense that I am scared of seeing out there is Brandon Stevens. He's a ticking time bomb. Something will go horrifically wrong with him on the field, and it's how wrong does it go, and can you make sure it's only once? When you look at like our team and kind of the flaws we have, I would say that defensively he is really the weak link at this point, especially now that you haven't seen Marcus Williams since week 11. And then offensively, it's all going to come down to the line. Is TJ Watt is definitely healthier than the last time we played them, but Rosengarten still handled him really well. So, does that continue? Does TJ Watt make a couple of disruptive plays? How do our guards do? Is Flaley gonna, again, Flaley's another one. Like he's gonna miss blocks. Like it's just gonna happen. There's always gonna be 2 or 3 reps that you see of him on screen where he's fucking blocking air or whiffing at the guy running at him. And, do we get the playoff anyway? Or does that hurt us? Or is it a strip sack or something like that? Like that's the real question with him. And Makari is okay as long as he's not committing penalties. So is he gonna, commit 40?
Voorhees played last week, right?
Yeah, and
Voorhees played both last week, and I think he got in towards the end of the week before.
The way Cole has been talking about Voorhees in the wake of this, sounds like there may be a decision that Voorhees may be the guy on the left side in the playoffs.
The deal with Makari has always been that he's got some kind of degenerative back condition. And like he can't start. Like they don't feel comfortable with getting 17 healthy games out of him. And so going into the year and knowing that and still having him be your starter was the Ravens picking their spots and letting him kind of heal for the playoffs, and honestly, as the season's gone on, you've seen his play get worse and worse. I'm sure that, he's not 100% healthy. I doubt there's any offensive lineman in the NFL right now that is 100% healthy. They'll lie to you and tell you that they are, but I'm sure that they're all banged up. I mean, you're getting slammed into by other 300-pound guys for 60 minutes a game. Like, you're going to have some lingering shit going on there. But so was him coming out of that last game early and not playing last week, kind of a built-in rest period for him to kind of get back to normal, or is there actually changing the guard at left guard?
Well, he's also been identified as actually the worst of the 5.
Yeah, he's been the
over
most
course of the season.
He's been the most penalized. You could argue Falele is still worse than him. It kind of depends on, I guess how you're grading that out. My grading system only extends to quarterbacks, so I don't grade offensive linemen. So I wouldn't know. But yeah, I mean, again, like, we're not going into a playoff game. Is Ronnie hurt? Is our running back, like, we had Mark Ingram in 2019, who was our bell cow back, and he was hurt. Like, Derrick Henry's fucking fine.
Right.
Justice Hill is coming back rather than being hurt. So, again, that's a pretty big plus. Our real questions health-wise are really only Zay, which is odd. What does this comment say?
Looks like a friend of Trippy. Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast.
Trippy's here, right?
Trip, you're on mute.
Trippy, you're on mute. I see his lips.
Trey, what's up, my guy? That's my guy, Trey.
There we go. All right. We got the shout out. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about the playoffs because of Derrick Henry. Because we have the guy that just fucking ripped our hearts out in 2019. He's a killer. He's a fucking closer. And
he is built for winter football in the Northeast.
And he looks excited about it too. He looks like
it's been
energized.
A while since he's been on a meaningful team. So
right. A team that really, really, truly has a chance to win the Super Bowl. Like that Tennessee team. Let's be serious. Fucking Ryan Tannehill was the quarterback. They outperformed expectations, and I'm sure they all believed
they were on a Cinderella run. At that
right,
point.
exactly. Like it was one of those things where it was like, okay, wow, this is really happening for them. But like the Ravens, man, the expectations you're going to be here anyway. So I mean, he didn't come to Baltimore to play with Lamar, to maybe make the playoffs and maybe win a game. Like he looks dialed in. He's ready. And like, early in the game, I think the first half he had like 6 carries for 8 yards. And he ended up with, I don't know how many carries. He had 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
yeah, and that was finally a moment where the Ravens stuck with the run. Yeah. It wasn't working, and they just kept fucking running the ball, and it finally worked. If Harbaugh has any balls, he'll just call 7 straight run plays to Henry to start the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I mean, like, okay. And there's every reason to expect they will do the opposite of what they should. But it really, like, the coaching and the play calling has felt like they've been calling plays preparing for the playoffs because Derrick Henry's getting more and more carries most of the time as the game gets further into it. Like, you're seeing him really, you come out in the third quarter and you're getting a lot of Derrick Henry right away. And then the fourth quarter, he owns the fourth quarter. So as long as they don't forget, they don't get cute, they don't deviate from that formula. I just don't see.
Don't forget who you are. And if, it's a big moment, but don't overthink it.
Just go with it, man. Just do what you've been doing. Just do it.
Right. You are what's working. You are the Baltimore Ravens. You are 12-5. You are playing a home playoff game against a 6th seed because you were better than them in the regular season. You made some mistakes early on. You've become a better team in probably the last 7 weeks of the season. I would say things really started to click for them. You are at the point you are right now by trusting your guys and making those play calls. Just stick with that. And if you get punched in the mouth 2 minutes into the game, who the fuck cares? Don't panic. And I know Lamar had a press conference today, and he said, like, I don't remember exactly what he said, and I don't want to butcher what he said, but it was essentially that, like, he got nervous in the playoffs and he got happy feet and he made some mistakes. And like, that's cool. It happened. Learn from it. Don't do it again. This is a year where you're built to win a championship. Like, let's see this one through. You've done all the right things. You got all the right guys in the right spots. Like, you're healthy, which is one of the biggest keys to winning a Super Bowl is that everybody's, playing and active for you. So don't fuck it up and don't get nervous in the moment. Don't do dumb shit like you did against Tennessee, like you did against the Chargers, like you did against the Bills, like you did against the Chiefs. It just seems like every time they lose a playoff game, there's a moment in the game where they get punched in the fucking mouth and then they just totally change the game plan and can't recover from it.
Right.
You play 60 full minutes. The only time you really have to be leading the game is when the clock shows 0-0-0 at the end of the fourth quarter. So if you're chasing the entire game, but you stick with your plan and you end up winning with a second left, it's still a win. You don't get credit for leading for 59 minutes, 59 seconds. It's only the score at the end of the game that matters. And I hope this is the year that either we're just so fucking good that coaching doesn't play a factor into it and that there is no situation where our coaching can come back to bite us, or they just finally get over that fear, lights of the brightest and they fucking choke. I don't know how to describe it perfectly for what it's been, since Lamar came here, but like this is the year to just get over it and move forward with it.
So I'm just looking at numbers right now. I mean, the team is battle tested. They've won 9 games against playoff teams. They have, the only teams to score more than 30 points against this defense all year, and this defense was ranked 32nd in the league in pass defense for the first 10 weeks. That being said, the Bengals and
the Bucks.
Yep, and the Bucks is fake because it was like fake points being scored at the very end
it was
of the
like
game.
What was it, like 41-21 or something like that? And
it's 41-21 with like 6 minutes left.
Yeah, and they gave up two fake touchdowns. So
or 41-17 it was. It was some crazy number like that. So
and then they ended up
that 31 is kind of fake, is just as junk points. But the Bengals scored over 30, honestly. But every other team we played, we've held them under 30 points. Now, holding someone under 30 points is not any kind of like remarkable task. But in the last 4 games since the bye, the most amount of points they gave up was 17 against the Steelers, which again, I think those were kind of like, those points are kind of meaningless as well. But
definitely one touchdown was pretty meaningless.
They've outscored opponents 135-43 in those 4 games. So the offense is playing well, scoring over 30 every single game, and the defense is only giving up a little over 10 points.
I was talking to a pretty pronounced, Ravens hater over the weekend. And every year it tells me the same shit. You guys peaked at the wrong time. Like they were good and now they're kind of coasting and falling off. They're going to get their shit kicked in the playoffs. And he's been right all these years, but he said, this is the year where it seems like you guys are peaking at the right time. I feel like we took our ugly loss to the Eagles later in the year, and it kind of helps us in terms of like being a better team and kind of, you figured out your weaknesses. And there was still some drops and shit on Sunday or Saturday. There
were a lot.
There was a couple stupid penalties. Brandon Stevens got cooked a couple times. Like, I feel like that's the other thing too, is that in the playoffs, the Titans game is the one that sticks out to me. The first drive, you get the Mark Andrews tip pass, it turns into an interception, and then it just felt like the floodgates opened. Like, don't let that happen. It's okay to make mistakes. Shit might happen. You're playing good football teams. Regardless of what we're going to say about the Steelers after this point, like, they did make the playoffs. They were a solid football team compared to the rest of the AFC. So they're not just some scrub opponent that's going to come in and roll over and die. Like, they're also playing for their season. They have a veteran head coach who's been here before. They have a veteran quarterback who's played in Super Bowls before. I think they have, a couple of, like, George Pickens is a moron. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know if George Pickens knows what pressure is. I feel like George Pickens' own worst enemy is himself. And so I don't think that it being
like
a playoff
last
game,
week, one of the funniest stats you're ever going to hear is George
What?
Pickens went into week 18 with 900 passing yards,
and left
or excuse me,
Cleveland,
receiving yards. He caught one pass on 6 targets for -1 yard, so he ended the season with 899. Not that 900 is some kind of like benchmark number milestone.
No, but you know,
but
they were talking
it's
about like
fucking hilarious.
going to get 1,000 after missing a couple games too,
Yeah.
and you know, all of a sudden it's you know, he's got 899. Like, yeah, it's. But he's not a guy that I think the moment matters to at all. I think he's too fucking stupid and too like, you know, fighting his own inner demons for a playoff game to matter. So that could be, you know, maybe he freaks the fuck out and shuts down again and gets -1 yards, or maybe he's just like, oh, fuck it, and goes off for like $150 and 2 touchdowns. Like, you just really don't know what you're going to get out of him. I feel like TJ Watt's just an asshole and is just looking to injure people at all times. So I don't know if the moment matters to him at all. But like, you have enough experienced
Has
guys.
TJ Watt ever been on a Steelers team that won playoff game?
I don't think so.
So, what year did he get
He's
drafted?
never won a playoff game.
2015,
No, I don't
right?
think so. Let me ask one of my friends real quick.
So then he would have been there for at least one.
He's been there for all the fucking, you know, them getting stomped the last couple times they've gone in the playoffs. I know that.
2017. No.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
2017. He's never won a playoff game.
Dan, don't let Saturday be his first.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Three.
they have Najee Harris too, who is kind of, you know, dollar store Derrick Henry seems disrespectful to Derrick Henry, but he is a you know, big Alabama running back that is kind of built for this weather. So, like, that's a guy to watch. You know, our interior defensive line is going to matter a lot there, and you know, kind of winning your matchups against their guards and their center.
Yeah.
You know,
So
Fryermuth's the safety blanket. Like, just
yeah,
don't,
TJ
don't
Watt,
let him run wild.
or my one friend who's a Steelers fan, confirmed. No, he was drafted in 2017 and started the playoff drought.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. So TJ Watt is a curse. I like that. I hate TJ Watt. So
he just chases defensive player of the year awards. He doesn't care about Lombardi's.
Sounds a whole lot like fucking Josh Allen and chasing MVPs.
Yep.
Can we just like, as a society, just, I don't know, like, take away Bills fans, you know, First Amendment rights for a couple weeks? And Dan Orlovsky shouldn't be allowed on television. I muted that game on Saturday. I don't remember exactly what happened, but he brought in Josh Allen. I was like, yep, I'm out. I don't want to listen to this anymore. You were a backup quarterback for a fucking basketball school, Dan Orlovsky. Like, you then went to the NFL.
Have you ever looked at his fucking career numbers too?
The only thing people fucking remember him for is that Jared Allen chased him out of the back of the fucking end zone. And that gif gets played 1,000 times. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you talk all this shit about, like, you know, oh, knowing football, and like, I used the eye test and I watched Josh Allen. Like, you got your job taken by a fucking serial killer's brother for quarterback in college. Okay. You then went to the biggest fucking loser franchise in NFL history, the Detroit Lions. At the point that they drafted him, they were a fucking loser franchise, and you couldn't sniff the fucking field. And then when you did sniff the fucking field, you made an ass out of yourself by running out of the back of the end zone. That's all anybody ever remembers you for. So, like, fuck off. Stop with this eye test bullshit. And this, you know, he just goes on TV and contradicts himself every other fucking day. He's talking about, like, you know, oh, Josh Allen has no weapons and, you know, no 1,000-yard players. Meanwhile, you know, James Cook had 1,000 yards. If Josh Allen didn't, you know, vulture 11 touchdowns away from him, you're talking about James Cook potentially fucking win, you know, breaking the all-time touchdown record for a single season. But I got to listen to these retards on television over and over again tell me how great Josh Allen is. I feel like this is a to tie this to politics. I know I don't like to get political, but Jake's not here, so I feel like we can, you know, talk about the vaccine and
I
politics.
feel like we can.
Yeah. But like, when Trump won in 2016, nobody wanted to talk about that they were voting Trump and that they just like placated the liberals, saying, oh, you know, just let them run wild and let them feel like, you know, Hillary Clinton was going to win. And then the actual votes came out and Trump won by a pretty significant margin. I feel like we're kind of like in the same thing here for, fucking MVP voting of like, nobody wants to tell Bills fans that shut the fuck up, your guy is not the MVP. So like, they're just like, yeah, crazy people. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, your guy's MVP. I saw a tweet from some guy that Max told us to suck off because he had a thread, but I remember him being an anti-Lamar guy before. But he posted a picture of it was like a child Josh Allen crying in the front of a classroom, and then Mahomes with MVP awards and Lamar with MVP awards behind him, and he was saying like, the only valid reason for Josh Allen to win an MVP is that nobody's sharing MVP awards with him.
DEI Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's it. When you counter every argument, it always comes back to what the real sentiment is. Oh, he should have won one by now. Well, no, he shouldn't, because someone else fucking won it in all those years. So yeah, if you take out of context some of the seasons he's had, well, you take some of those seasons he had, and then you compare them against other years where someone won the MVP, then you're removing the context of why the person won the MVP that particular season.
Josh Allen had a great fucking year. Josh Allen deserves to be mentioned in the MVP conversation. That doesn't fucking mean that you give him an award being like, here you go, buddy. Like, here you go, little retard. Right. Like, have your award. Congratulations, pal.
It's just what makes me really
it's insulting to Josh Allen to give him
the most
MVP.
Annoying part to me is it started with saying, well, this is just like what happened last year. It's not, because what Lamar's doing this year is, I mean,
nobody
in a different
has
class. No one's ever done what he did this year.
Yeah, and no player has thrown for 4,000 yards and rushed for 900 yards.
Right.
No player has had 40-plus touchdowns and only 4 picks. I would argue Lamar should only have 3 picks, and I would argue that Lamar Jackson has only thrown 1 straight-up interception, and that was because his wide receivers stopped running. But he did throw the ball, and it wasn't touched by anybody else before it was intercepted. So, I would argue that you could have a 41-1 year for Lamar if you really want to play that game. What I fucking can't stand from Bills fans is just this, like, nobody cares that much about MVP. It really doesn't fucking matter. The only reason I've even talked about it the last 2 weeks is that these retarded arguments about, like, oh, well, Josh Allen deserves MVP. Drew Brees is probably looked at as a top 15 quarterback of all time. Maybe you could argue top 10. I don't know. He's in that range. I fucking hate Drew Brees. But, like, does he come out and say, oh, I deserved an MVP and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady took them all from me? Like, no. He never put up an MVP.
So that's what I'm trying to say. So the Bills fans started with, now it's just like last year. Josh Allen had better numbers than Lamar, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So then when you point out that that's not really true, when you actually dig into those numbers and why it happened, and then the context of Lamar being on the best team, so the getting the number 1 seed, playing a tougher schedule, all those things, whatever.
Josh Allen got his offensive coordinator fired mid-season last year.
So then it goes from it's about last year to Lamar's MVP numbers don't compare to this other MVP season. And then that's where they pivot to, and in this season where Josh Allen didn't win it, look at his numbers compared to Lamar's last year. And also, it's none of this fucking matters, dude. Lamar is so far ahead of every other motherfucker this year. It's ridiculous that we're having this conversation. These numbers they're not the same. They're just not even close.
If you pin them down on like an argument about last year's numbers, they always bring up Tyrod Taylor under Greg Roman. And it's like, oh, I wonder why you keep bringing him up. Maybe because he played for the fucking Bills then, and like you guys are this, thirsty for, I don't even know, like what do you want? Like nobody cares that Josh Allen wins the MVP. It's not like you're gonna like win online arguments or people are gonna like walk up to you in the street and be like, oh hey, congratulations, Bills fan, Josh Allen won an MVP. Like, no, your life's not gonna change at all.
Well, and all the arguments we're making about why we think Lamar should win the MVP, they don't change after, no matter who wins it. The argument's still the same. It's if the voters decide that, I think it's obvious why. It's what we're saying. What it boils down to, not with the Bills fans, but with the actual voters, is a lot of them is they're like, oh well, he should have won one by now, so it's his turn. There's no fucking turn.
Gun to
annual award.
Gun to my head. it's Jared Goff's award to lose, or Patrick Mahomes' award to lose, because the last 7 MVPs have been quarterbacks from a number 1 seed. So Josh Allen is not a quarterback from a number 1 seed, so he shouldn't get it, and Lamar won't get it because he's not a quarterback from a number 1 seed. You know, if
I'm with me.
I
think Sam Darnold probably played his way out of that one on Sunday, but
also by losing, Sam Darnold is no longer a number 1 seed, so he
oh yeah, true.
not only threw his way out of it, but he also took himself out of the running by not being the 1 seed anymore. Yeah, I can't stand. And then the other sentiment I keep seeing online, and you echoed some of it in private, the extend Ronnie Stanley shit. I need people to put on their thinking caps for a few minutes here, okay? Ronnie Stanley, I called him Robin the Ravens Ronnie, Rest Day Ronnie, fucking Stealing Stanley, where I was coming up with all kinds of alliterations on his first and last name. And then all of a sudden he takes a pay cut and he's basically on a 1-year deal for us. All of a sudden he's healthy all 17 games, because he's playing for another contract. Okay, so this nonsense of like, let's pay Stanley big money and, all pro Ronnie's back. And, this is our guy and our cornerstone left tackle. Like, don't fall for it again. When Ronnie Stanley gets paid again, you're going to see the nagging injuries come back. And he might not show up to practice every day. And he might miss a few games here and there. And so if you're going to extend Ronnie, you do it smartly. I think after 4 or 5 messages back and forth, like you said, like a 3 and 60 contract, that's really a 1-year deal. And you only really add the last 2 years to spread out the signing bonus and, minimal guarantees. Like,
and maybe you put a void year in there too. You do, and basically his first year is fully guaranteed. You give him like $18 million signing bonus and the veteran minimum.
Yeah,
and to get him to 20.
You give Ronnie Stanley a Tim Wakefield contract.
Yeah.
The Red Sox had with Tim Wakefield that every year, and it was no money at all, so the money's not going to be comparable, but it was like $7 million, basically by, I don't know, whatever it was, fucking December 25th, by Christmas, by January 1st, whatever the fuck it was. The two sides would meet and be like, yeah, I want to play another year. Red Sox would be like, yeah, we'll have you back, and then his option got picked up. And they just perpetually did that until Tim Wakefield was like, fuck it, I'm 73 years old and I want to retire. Okay, like, if you want to give Ronnie a deal like that where you can put all the fucking fake money and the cap shit into it, I don't care. That the reality is both sides go into the year knowing that it's a one and done contract, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, but the
I like that
really
idea.
The motivation behind it is he needs to get paid fairly, and that's not like. So you can't come back to him and be like, hey, man, you got to earn all this back in incentives this year because he just played all 17 games. So, like, okay, you go to him and you say, all right, we're going to do it 1 year at a time. We'll guarantee your contract at the beginning of the year. When you're coming into the year healthy, we'll guarantee the whole thing.
Right. You make it so that he can make a fair amount of money every year if he continues to play every game.
Right.
The real guy
because he's not like it's okay. You can have a guy that starts every game who sucks. He's pretty good. I mean, I'd say he's like a top 10 to 15 left tackle.
He's not quite all pro Ronnie Stanley, but he's not bad either.
No, yeah. So, like, if you can get that guy 17 games a year, and again, and it's a familiarity thing with Lamar. Lamar trusts him, obviously. It's the most important position on that line. And he's been the guy, obviously he was out a while with injury, but, like, Lamar trusts him. That's a big thing, I think.
Lamar knows him. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He's somewhere in the
he's got to be a big piece as to why this run game works the way it does.
He's not necessarily all pro Stanley, but he's definitely not, hey, I'm 100%, but I'm really not Ronnie Stanley.
He's not drunk idiots.
He's like somewhere in between.
He's a very, very solid left tackle.
On Sunday, I'm watching the game, and I watch Falele blow a block, or I watch Makari throw a block, and I'm motherfucking them to death and screaming at my television and, like, borderline tweeting death threats at them. Like, he's not that, okay? But he's also not like, this is the greatest left tackle of all time. No, so, which is fine. Like, I don't think we need all-pro Ronnie Stanley, so you're not paying him an all-pro price. But if that number's 17 million, 18 million, whatever the fuck, sure. But,
somewhere in there, right, exactly. But I just don't want to hear people talking about, oh, yeah, we need Ronnie Stanley back. And then they're like, appalled that he's making $19 million a year. That's what it costs to have a good left tackle.
Well,
period.
the other thing
Just
that
it.
I can't stand about these fans is, we need this guy and this guy and this guy. And then it's, oh my God, look how much money we're spending on this guy and roster construction. Anybody who
Right.
uses the term roster construction in a football debate, I feel like we should just be able to, beat them over that with a golf club too. That word is the most triggering word on the internet to me because it's a bullshit cop-out because people don't understand how to, look at a football team. They just want this, cookie cutter nonsense that some dipshit coach or YouTube guy that they listen to said, this is how you should build your roster. And they want every roster to fit in there. The reality is, our team wouldn't work for a different coaching staff or with different players. We have Lamar Jackson. Okay. We have a very good run game. And so guys like Ronnie Stanley are a little bit more important. Guys like Patrick Ricard are a little bit more important than they are to the market. And so
Ricard's another guy that we should be extending, by the way. We need to get him.
Absolutely.
See,
He's under contract this year or next year?
He's an unrestricted free agent after the year. I'm sure that they'll find a way to pay him.
I
don't know. I feel like he is a guy that you go to him and say, Patrick, we're going to give you money. Just be patient while we figure out other people. And he's like, yeah, okay. And then he goes, on the Western Mass in the mountains and fucking, I don't know, fights deer or something like that. I don't know what the fuck.
I mean, I know where he is based, where he's settled. It's a nice neighborhood. I know people who live there. He's got a couple little kids, so I think he's pretty rooted around here.
Just want the record to show that Patrick, if you're listening to this, Will is doxing you right now.
He only got one kid.
He beat his ass.
He had two. Thought he had twins.
He got one. He just had a daughter.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
So just per Trippy, Will is doxing you, and he's not even doing it right, Patrick. So
yeah. I'm only saying that because to say I think he's rooted pretty well. I think he likes where he's at. So
and I don't mean this as he means a lot to this football team.
Right.
I don't think he means the same thing on the market that he means to the Ravens.
Okay. I was talking to someone who doesn't have a whole lot of familiarity with all the intricacies of football.
Mm-hmm.
They are a Steelers fan and asked what position Pat Ricard plays, and I said fullback, and they were like, "What's that?" And I dawned on me Steelers don't have a fullback. I can't remember them really ever having one.
I think they had Derek Watt for a while.
And he retired.
Yeah, but they kind of used him as a tight end, they didn't really use him like the way we use Ricard and the way that what's the guy in Ingold, Alex Ingold gets used. I don't even see Juszczyk. I don't even really consider him a fullback.
Yeah, he's more an H-back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also wasn't. He's what?
Drew's guy is here.
13 seconds. He needs a massage.
Who is this? Am I supposed to remember this individual?
That's your guy.
Why is this my guy? Am I missing some bit here that I'm was too drunk to remember from last time? This is the guy who came in and said a whole bunch of weird sexual shit about me and then didn't show up for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just remember, people talk about, Joy Taylor was sexually harassed by a superior at Fox Sports, or Jason Whitlock made creepy sexual comments, but I got to come on the air and get assholes 13 seconds writing this shit about me. So, me too, I guess. I don't fucking know.
So the profile picture is Andy Reid. So I don't know, man.
I just fit the profile. That's fine. I understand.
Well, I have a theory as to who could be behind this, but
Visionless Dave.
I don't think Visionless Dave would sexually harass me under another name. I think he'd want me to know it was him.
That's probably fair.
Yeah,
it's got to be a Minifan though.
Yeah, I don't know. That's creepy to even think about. There's a lot of them it could be. So none of them are Chiefs fans, though, is the thing. But they might throw an Andy Reid profile picture on just because the fat guy with the mustache.
1.5 mil.
Why not? I mean, what the fuck? Am I not worth 1.5 mil? See the shit I got to deal with? I got to get sexually harassed, and then I got to be told you're not worth 1.5 million. That is the wildest part of that Fox Sports thing to come out, by the way. is that Skip Bayless is offering $1.5 million to have sex with people. Can you fucking like that?
With a hairdresser, right? Not Joy Taylor. He
I'm
offered that
pretty
to
sure
a
it was a
hairdresser.
hairdresser
It was a hairdresser, but then he
or
like,
some sort of stylist.
could you like 1.5? I just again like I would have told somebody right away, been like, Skip Bayless is trying to throw $1.5 million at me. Like, what do I do? That's bizarre to me, and that's just coming out now. And then yeah, then you got Jason Whitlock with the peanut butter skin and huge rack comments. That was just so I saw that and I thought it was AI because I was like, "There's no fucking way this moron went on camera and said this." And then I went to he tweeted it.
There was also a thing on TikTok where that Zion Williamson basketball player commented on Joy Taylor's thing. Can I hit next?
That was fake.
That was fake.
Wait, was it?
Yeah, that was fake, but it was still funny. I know exactly what you're talking
about. That NBA Centel makes one of those with Zion Williamson. I guess is just like a thirsty guy. And
he is. Do
you not know the Zion Williamson story or no?
Well, like they did this with Sydney Thomas a couple of weeks ago too, and she had to like quote tweet it and say that never happened.
So Zion Williamson was dating is the wrong word. He was paying this. She's 93% silicone, OnlyFans model, you know, like paying her like ridiculous sums of money to fly out and like sleep with him. And then I don't know, she got pregnant or she got a boyfriend. I don't remember what the fuck the deal was. And they like stopped talking for a while. And then they were back together and she like found his phone and it was just like 8 million messages to all OnlyFans women being like, "Hey, want to hang out?" And then she exposed him and she went nuts on the internet for like the entire summer. So that's why NBA Central does that to Zion Williamson, because it's you know, a recurring bit that he is like you said, a thirsty guy who loves those kind of people. But anyway.
But if the NBA has to get involved with him being thirsty.
No, the NBA had to get involved because this woman was trying to like being like, Zion, if you don't wire me another $500,000, I'm gonna fucking like tell him what kind of drugs you're taking and shit like that.
That's
like it. Yeah, it was a whole fuck thing. It was kind of funny, but like the shit that she was posting that she would send him was, you know, pretty wild.
But anyways,
see, this is why we miss. I give Jake a lot of shit on air. Actually, fuck you, Jake, for not showing up when you said you were going to come. But you know, Jake is the one who's supposed to step in and fucking, you know, this. You know, Jake says all the time. He's like, "Oh, it's the vaccine is why you guys are crazy like this." You know, this is why you're. You know, you people can't figure shit out. I got to step away. I'll be back in hopefully shortly.
All right.
But we got Big Dog Dad in here. Imagine if the internet existed when Wilt Chamberlain played.
Imagine that.
That's hilarious, honestly. But going to the playoff game, or back to the playoff game and the implications, it's just like, I just saw a headline saying Broderick Washington Jones, whoever it was, one of the Steelers' offensive tackles, was saying he was hoping to see us again in the playoffs. And
okay.
So I'm just like, wait, is that Baltimore Pittsburgh rivalry actually still alive, or is that just starting to fade? Because based off that, I could say that it's still somewhat alive.
I guess. I don't know.
It's weird because, you know, the way that we're seeing this rivalry go forward is there's more respect and kindness amongst the players versus the past. Except for when we play Cincinnati. Apparently, that's just all straight trash talk. But versus Pittsburgh, we don't really see that anymore.
No, I mean, it's weird. Pittsburgh has been one of those teams where, you know, obviously we have trouble with them during the regular season over the past few years, but they've also kind of been irrelevant. If they get into the playoffs, no one fears them. I think we've been over these numbers before, but during this losing streak of theirs, so dating back 2017. So we're at 8 years now.
My buddy sent me a list of it. The 3 playoff games of TJ Watt's career. The Jaguars lost 45-42 with Ben throwing a pick.
They're giving up over 40 points a game.
Yep, and then the Browns, that was a 40-point game. And then the Chiefs collapse in 2020.
Yeah, hold on, I'm going to get the numbers.
Because, one of my best friends up in this area, he's unfortunately a Steelers fan, and we'd go back and forth about
I'm back.
games.
I'm not going to turn the camera on because we have an uninterrupted guest here. So.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Don't have children. But anyway. Where were we?
We're about to hold on.
I just made mention that that Steelers offensive tackle Broderick something.
Broderick Washington.
Yeah, that one.
Mhm.
Made mention that he was hoping to see Baltimore in the playoffs, and it seemed like the Pittsburgh-Baltimore rivalry is still there a little bit, but
You
not
mean
as
Broderick? You mean Broderick Jones? You said
Yeah,
Broderick
Jones.
lost his injury.
Oh yeah, Broderick Washington plays for our team. Yeah. Good call.
But it seems like just a little bit with that headline or that statement that the OG rivalry is still there a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Broderick Jones go to Georgia too?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's some idiot streak in him. Is that the consensus there?
Absolutely.
It does feel different than past years where I felt like for a couple of years there, neither team was really good at the same time too, which was also part of the problem. But that, now you got they're playing in the playoffs. Like nothing reignites a rivalry like that. Red Sox Yankees was dead for a couple of years until they played in the playoffs, and then it kind of sparked it up again.
All right, so let's just do the TJ Watt era, their last 3 playoff games, so dating back to 2020. And I understand that a game in 2020 doesn't necessarily have all that much bearing on now, but there is a trend here. So 3 games, they give it up 121 points. Outscored by 46. Outscored 77-24 in the first half, 42-0 in the first quarter. They have not scored a point in the first quarter in 3 playoff games.
Which that tells me is that
28-0.
Punch them in the fucking mouth.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So you go after them early, you will win. 28-0. If you want to talk about them playing a divisional game and a playoff game, the 28-0 first quarter game was against Cleveland in 2020. So division or not, they were getting their ass kicked in the first quarter by the Cleveland Browns in 2020. So
and that's a fake year, but it's still
still the matter of the fact.
Yeah,
it still happened, and like I said, it's still a trend. They didn't score a point in the next 2 playoff games in the first quarter either. They've been outscored 42-0 in the first quarter in 3 playoff games. So, and minus 46 overall in 3 games. That's really bad. That's really fucking bad. And giving up over 40 points a game. That's the big one. They're giving up points, man. This defense does not lock in for the playoffs.
And it's funny because when we lose playoff games, I feel like that is kind of what happens is that the opposing team comes out hot and sort of puts us in a hole, and we're stupid about chasing it for the rest of the game.
Yep.
And it seems like the Steelers are very susceptible to that. So, John Harbaugh should know all about that. Should know all about, letting the other team get out to an early lead and then kind of panicking and shitting your pants. So, let's flip the script a little bit there.
Yeah.
And what better way to do it than against the division rival and the Steelers?
I'm in.
Yeah. All right. Let's do scores and uniforms.
Trippy, I feel like you should lead us off.
Yeah, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ravens 30. Steelers 9.
Nice. I like that score.
And what do you got for a uniform combo?
Classic. Purple, white.
Okay. Regular purple or light purple?
Regular purple.
All right. BG.
I'm going to stick with the trend of going into the 40s. I'm going to say 42-21. And I'm going to go purple-black.
All right. I'm going to go 31-10. And I'm going to go purple-white as well. I don't love it, but I think that's probably what we'll go. I would love to see all black, but I just don't know if they're going to pull that out.
Well, they are allowed to do one. There's no rule against pants in the playoffs. It's just
It's tough.
It's just the jersey. You can do an alternate once.
If you're ever going to do an all-black game, it's going to be a primetime game against Pittsburgh. But
and we got Jake here for the final bit.
Black purple.
What up, y'all?
The fuck was that?
You.
What up, though?
Everything.
I thought my fucking headphones exploded.
You're welcome. So you're going 31-10 purple jerseys, white pants for Saturday?
Yes.
That's what Drew's doing. I'm doing 42-21 with purple-black. Trippy's doing white pants. White pants, purple jerseys as well. I don't remember the score.
Trippy did 30-9.
30-9.
Okay.
I like Trippy's score the best. I think it's playoffs. Usually you'll see the refs kind of swallow their whistles a little bit. Steelers defense is a little healthier than they were when we beat the shit out of them a few weeks ago. But that being said, give me Baltimore 23-14. They're rocking all purple. I don't see that Steelers offense doing anything against that Ravens defense. I really don't.
That's fair.
All right. I'm going over 40. I'm going 45-17.
There you go.
We're going to beat their ass. We're going to beat the fuck out of them. And purple black. Purple black.
Purple black.
Yeah. I can see purple black.
Because we wore purple black.
I was just about to say that. I can see purple black too.
The whole 2012 season or postseason, so.
Or at least we wore black pants that whole postseason. But yeah,
Yep.
it was purple black against the Colts, then white black the rest of the way.
We wore purple black both playoff games last year too.
We
Both
did.
home games. And
Yeah,
we're not guaranteed a home game after this one.
Yeah.
No. Which
Which
think
is
will
the
be
only
purple
reason I think
pants from
black
here on.
might be on the table. Might be, but we'll see.
That's feasible. I'm leaning towards purple pants the entire postseason.
All right, fuck it. I'm going to change. I'm going to go all black.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Just wanted on the record that I talked Will into going all black. So if
You
it's
did.
right, then if it's right, then I still get credit.
That's right.
All right.
Dress
Well,
up for the Steelers' fucking funeral.
I think that covers it.
There it is. Well, just in time, because that's going to do it for this week's installment. We'll be back next week to discuss this, that, and the other. But meanwhile, it's time for me to die. Player.